I'm joined today by the victorious Gabrielle Giordano. Gabrielle, welcome to Group, or welcome to the show.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me back.
It is great to have you back. You just are coming off Saturday night, a TKO round one stoppage, which is super exciting. You've been out of the game for about a year and a half because of COVID. What was it like to come in and get such a big win by stoppage?
It was awesome. I'm super grateful for the experience. It's kind of just like that year and a half paid off, all the time off and everything. I'm really happy with it.
Well, it is good that you're happy with it because it was exciting to see. You took on Melissa Sheppy, who was on a 2-0 run. So this was somebody who had experience and also two back-to-back good fights. What is it like to know that you actually beat somebody who obviously is good at MMA, has some skills in MMA, and isn't somebody maybe completely new to MMA?
Yeah. I think, we kind of talked a little bit the first time that I was kind of just looking to see improvement. Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest thing for me, was to go in there and make sure I did better than I did the first time, and that I'm actually able to compete. I ended up going up a weight class, which is, I wasn't really too worried about it. Wasn't a huge cut. So I was like, I might as well do it. I didn't want to miss out on it. So that was somewhat of a concern going into it, but it was awesome.
It really was. One of the things we had talked about in your first interview with me was about you having collegiate experience in basketball. And we kind of processed through how, and I mentioned it on the broadcast, that you said that basketball got your footwork for kind of the kickboxing good, and softball got your change of direction and exploding, as a shortstop. So how did those two sports background pay off in that 1 minute and 42 seconds?
I think, specifically in that first round, it had to be the mindset. You know what I mean? She came out hard in that first 10 seconds. I felt like it was longer, but, watching it back, it was, about 10 to 12 seconds, and just not caving. We talk about, we never know how they're going to start the fight, whether it's, taking that first round and just kind of reading your opponent and figuring things out, or if they're just coming looking for the kill. And she came out swinging. So I think kind of just being able to stay calm and weather that storm, knowing in that instance that I was losing the fight and I was down, and kind of just finding myself and able to battle back from there and ultimately win the fight.
Absolutely. And that's also a good thing to point out mentally, because the seconds feel so much longer. Even a 2-minute round, 120 seconds, you're talking about 12 to 15 seconds. Your mind starts reading, I'm losing the round, but you're not even 30 seconds in, which at that point would still only be a quarter of the round. So it obviously is a big mental game. Walk us through the finishing sequence.
Yeah. I don't remember the lead up too much. I just remember all of her punches. I felt like I was kind of seeing a tunnel, which I don't know if it was good or bad at that point, but I felt like all of her punches were outside of the tunnel. So I knew anything down the middle, I was going to be able to land. And I had noticed earlier on that she was like really heavy on that lead foot and just committing to everything. So I was like, if I just wait and time that jab and her approach, I'll be able to land something. It ended up being a little bit of a hybrid and an extended style uppercut. And I was able to connect and then immediately roll her hook. And that was kind of it from there. But it, like you said, it seemed like, so slow in that moment, but it's like that when you watch it back. So
it does go very quickly. And of course, your punch ended up landing on her nose, and it certainly appeared to break it instantly, at least from the replay and from how she reacted. Obviously, then the ref jumped in. Pretty exciting finish. How long did it take your brain to register that the fight was over? Because it was towards the end of the round. 142 meant that you only had 18 seconds left in the round. But what was it like to know that you had won by stoppage?
I think it took me a second to kind of process it. He kind of stepped in, and I remember turning and looking and seeing my family out of the cage. I'm like, wow, did that actually just happen? And then it kind of like set in and got excited, and my coaches came in after that. But it definitely took a second for me to process, because I didn't go in with that expectation by any means, fully prepared for 3 rounds. So it it was definitely a nice surprise.
Well, it definitely is exciting how quickly things can change. Sometimes in a not great direction, in this way, in a great direction.
Yeah.
It also shows for people that might be curious why an MMA fight was stopped while you were still standing. She didn't go unconscious. She didn't fall down. I know why, but what is your understanding of what the referee's there for and why he would stop a fight when he saw a fighter break a nose and kind of obviously react to it and realize that she was hurt?
Yeah. He had told us earlier in the rules meeting that, especially for the amateur rules, you know what I mean? I don't want to say he had a short tolerance, but, he wants to save us and save our careers and save our brains, in that aspect. So he said, as soon as, he feels that you're unable to continue, that he was planning on stepping in. I had hit her with something earlier in the round that she kind of stumbled. And I want to say I hesitated, but I didn't want to walk into something silly. So I didn't really jump on the opportunity to capitalize. So that was like the second or third time. And I think she grabbed her face too, which I think was kind of his cue to step in at that point. So,
yeah, I mean, it's the reaction. I mean, obviously very seasoned kickboxers, boxers, MMA fighters may not grab their face like El Kukui. Tony Ferguson has blood like all over him every time he fights. Tammy doesn't care. But obviously that's a natural reaction when her nose shifted and, obviously broke. And so it was a great stoppage. So, yeah, Chip Snyder is one of the best. And it's a lot for him to keep in mind. He's not only keeping in mind the rule sets and kind of how people do it, he's keeping in mind their experience level. And it makes a big difference. If that was a pro title fight, and we've seen some of those in the UFC and elsewhere, it would have kept going. But this is an amateur fight, and obviously medical attention is needed, and just to make sure she's okay. So it was exciting. From you being from Scranton, how many fans did you have? I know it would have been a drive down for them, but how many fans do you have? What was it like being relatively close to home, I guess?
It was nice, honestly. It was about a 3 hour and 45-minute ride, give or take. So wasn't too bad, but obviously, not super close. I had about 20 people-ish there, give or take. I'm not sure how many people were up in the bleachers, but, just having that much support there, even with, the 3 hour ride, and everyone came down, and, we were able to hang out a little bit at the after party after. It was really nice having that support there. Obviously you step in there alone, but you really aren't in there alone. And it was nice having them all there.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where 247 took over Johnstown. That was the first time they were ever there. Is that a place that you can see fighting again? I think there's hopefully going to be an opportunity for 247 to return. Would you come into Pittsburgh, or is Pittsburgh a little bit too far away? Are you more thinking Eastern Pennsylvania and Center PA for you?
No. I'm cool with traveling to Pittsburgh. I wouldn't mind being in that arena again. That was awesome. That was a cool venue for sure. Definitely one of the coolest I've seen, even, just on the regional scene, to have those fights there. But, I'm cool with driving to Pittsburgh and going where we need to go just to fight again. So
obviously I always throw that out there because 247 has Brandenburg 9, October 23rd. So you didn't get to the end of the first round, because obviously you finished it. So you didn't get advice from your corner. I always like to ask about what advice you got in between rounds, but what can you share about what your coaches said afterwards as far as their take on it?
I think they were, and I don't want to say surprised as I was, but obviously we were expecting to go the 3 rounds. Steve was obviously more than ecstatic with everything. And we always say, like, just keep working. Like, kind of, we talk it up. Like, she's not doing what you're doing, not prepared for that. And that's kind of what we say going into it. We were happy with a little bit of the change in pace when I was able to control and bring her to the cage and slow it down for that moment there, especially with her being so heavy forward. I didn't do that in my last fight. It was all standing for the 3 rounds. We really didn't clinch at all. So that was definitely the little bit of improvement that we wanted to see. And then, of course, taking away, we have our minor details that we definitely want to touch up on. I don't want to say it was all good, but it wasn't all bad either. Of course, we took some things away that I want to work on and continue learning from that.
Absolutely. And you're now 2-0. So you're very close. In the state of Pennsylvania, you still need one more fight, most likely, to get approved for advanced amateur. Because the rule sets are so specific with amateur, what do you know about the advanced amateur rules? And I think you need one more fight, one more win, but are you looking forward to the change, or do your coaches already drill the advanced amateur rules? You know, because obviously there's more allowed.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, in terms of the rules, I'm pretty sure it goes up to 3-minute rounds.
Yep.
And I believe ground and pound is allowed to the face, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it depends how you term ground and pound. To be clear, the rule set is a closed fist to the face, no elbows. So full ground and pound, I think, would involve elbows. Yeah. So it's punches only to the face. But yeah, it does. It's 3 and 3. The amateur protections are still no kicks to the head, still no elbows anywhere standing or on the ground, and no knees to the face standing. So the only major change is shin guards come off. So you'll have to talk to your coaches about what a pair of shins can feel like, but you know, and start working on that. But shin guards come off. Some leg locks are extended. I believe you're starting to allow all the leg lock attacks, including heel hooks and things like that, and then the punches to the face.
Okay.
The official rule is you have to have 3 fights and a winning record. So 2-1 or 3-0. And every fight, for those of your fans who may not know, every fight actually has to get approved individually by the commissioner, Greg Serb. And so I do think there's always a chance at 2-0 that he might authorize one fighter for advanced amateur, but it typically takes 3-0 or 2-1 to get the advanced amateur nod. So. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, when there's some things that we do on the ground where we will allow like light taps to the head, especially when I'm working with, you know, someone who's a little bit more on the grappling side. Like we try not to spend a ton of time going over, you know, the specifics of the rules. If I can handle it, you know, taking those strikes to the head, I'm going to be able to handle it without it. In terms of like, you know, the lack of shin guards, we do a ton of shin conditioning, even with, unfortunately. Yeah.
What's even their go-to? What are your coaches' go-to shin conditioning? Is it?
So we'll do a lot of check and return to the Tide pads. That would probably be number one. We'll occasionally even do, you know, checks shin on shin with each other, just with some controlled kicks. So those are definitely some nice for leaving with our legs in ice bags and stuff like that. Beyond that, we'll occasionally do, he calls them shin taps, which you're really just standing with your partner and you guys are kind of just like knocking shins together, and you'll kind of do 5 on one leg, 5 on the other leg, and then you'll do 5 kicks. And then, you know, 5 taps and 5 kicks. But it's always a little more drill oriented. We never sit there and kind of like, you know, bang our shins with anything or like that. There's always a skill with it. So
well, that's actually that's a cool way of making it more skill oriented, like you're saying, technical oriented versus me just banging on my shins. So that definitely is probably a better way of doing it, which is really, really exciting. What would you want to see progress for you for your next fight? I mean, I think your turnaround, you're going to want to keep it shorter than 1.5 years, clearly.
Definitely.
Of course, COVID is sort of resurfacing, so who knows what I know it's one of those, for those people that may not remember, you had your debut literally 3 or 4 weeks before COVID hit, and then MMA disappeared for a while. So what would you like to see as a time frame for you going forward if there's no issues, if there's no issues with COVID?
Yeah. So I would obviously like to fight as soon as I can, and then just to continue to work on my striking, and then keep adding to my grappling and my wrestling. That was a huge focus for this past, I don't even want to say camp because it was just 3 weeks, but this past 1.5 years was really adding to, the grappling and the ground side of things. And just continuing to grow on that would be number one for me.
Well, and I was about wrapped up, but your comment just brought another question to mind, which is you took this fight on 3 weeks. I know this was a later added fight. Your opponent actually won it, which is great for her. She wanted to keep the ball rolling because she had fought in May and July, I think. So she wanted to keep going. She saw the promotions and actually contacted Jim Mooney, the matchmaker, and wanted to get on the card. He somehow, got you. And so what confidence does it give to you to take a fight? Like you said, 3 weeks notice, but you've been training, consistency. And what level of mindset does that give to you that when you are training, you always want to have that mindset that you're training for a fight, even if you don't know what that fight is?
Yeah. And I mean, we always say there really is no like camp per se. We're always in the gym training and whatever, for whatever that next thing may be. I don't even want to say training changed too much in those 3 weeks. A little bit more intensity. And then I think we were able to focus on more specific things, but those are really the only things that we would change in a typical fight camp. Other than that, it's kind of expected that, you know, you're getting your things done and, you know, whether it be your strength and conditioning, you know, keeping your diet on point, getting all your jiu-jitsu in, your striking in every week. That's kind of just expected of you all year round, which is nice because it makes it easy to take short notice fights like that. Especially, you know, amateur and on the regional scene, you really never know. So we always say like, we're always ready. Even this week, like I was back yesterday training. So it's really like, we're always going. So.
Well, that is one advantage of being in an under 2 minute fight is you're able to bounce right back into training. And we had discussed it in the first interview that as a female amateur regional circuit, pro regional circuit gets a little bit broader for women because, you know, you're getting paid and somebody might get flown in, but for amateur regional, you might have to kind of take fights like you said, last minute, up a little or down a little, drive or whatever that happens to be. And so it's exciting to watch your career. I look forward to kind of seeing what you want to do with it. Now, what's your thought pattern going into basketball? Because you will be a basketball coach at, I think, Wilkes this year. And when does that start? Because at some point that's going to become busy for you.
Yeah. So we bring the girls back to campus this week, actually. And then we don't actually start practicing with them until October 15th. And then I kind of work with, you know, both of my coaches around the basketball schedule. So if it means that we're meeting in the morning, if it means we're meeting a little bit later at night. And then fortunately the class schedule at Scranton MMA, we pretty much have classes early morning, you know, mid-morning, and then again later at night. So it leaves a lot of opportunity for me to train. And then we kind of just work around that schedule to the best of our ability. So
that is really exciting. Thanks for taking time out of your day, a couple of days after your fight to come on. And a big congratulations to you. Oh, one last question.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be one person,
okay.
A couple, because I don't want you to offend anybody. But out of the 20 people that came, did you have like a parent, a grandmother, somebody that you're just really excited they got to make your, not to offend anybody, but just one special person?
Definitely my mom. My mom is there. She was nervous. She's out of her element, you know, being in a fight. This is definitely new for her, but definitely my mom. She always has been my biggest supporter, you know, throughout basketball, throughout softball, and, you know, going back to when I was a kid. So I was happy my mom was there.
Well, it's really exciting that your mom was there. It's a big change for her because you're not basketball and softball anymore. But, you know, shortstop had danger every time somebody hit the ball. I mean, shortstop has a decent amount of danger. So pretty exciting stuff. Congratulations to you and your team, and take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.